अच्छा, एक बार चालू करने के पहले मैं थोड़ा कंटेंट लेके आता हूँ, मेरा गला खराब। एक सेकंड।
As always.
Man, I swear. I don't think I've seen Thakur without some kind of problem.
वो या तो उसका बैटरी खराब होता है या तो उसका
पेट
पेट
खराब
खराब
होता है,
होता है।
गला खराब होता है.
हाँ, no, यार।
It's just so strange, man.
Shit.
Anyway,
चल, वो आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है पता नहीं क्या।
I don't even know where he does the podcast from nowadays, you know.
हाँ, चल।
Fuck, तेरा बैकग्राउंड मस्त लग रहा है यार ठाकुर.
मस्त लग रहा है ब्रो, थैंक यू मुझे वापस सहारा देने के लिए, और थैंक यू फॉर मसाला जवार पफ्स।
One more.
असली 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 रीजन मैं कौतुक के घर पे आता हूँ। मेरा घर रेडी है, लेकिन मेरे को कौतुक का चकना खाने मिल रहा है. So
One
sorry,
more.
but throughout the episode, I'm going to be eating masala jawar puffs.
Dude,
Dude, it's actually good.
I'm telling you, ये मेरा रिलीजन है और मैं तुझे कन्वर्ट कर चुका हूँ. Now we
Convert,
just
convert.
we
मेरे को
just
पॉडकास्ट
need,
नहीं करना.
yeah, we just need to create a little more bigger cult. By the way, you know, this particular bag of Jawar puffs, it was given to me by two people who had come for the show Bawa and I did at Habitat.
Thank you. This is really good.
Yeah, but it's really old then.
No, like it was pretty fresh, and I opened it.
बहुत tasty है.
Yeah,
No, I meant
Sorry.
pretty old as in you've opened it when?
abhi recently, like
Right now.
because I was getting through the other packets of Jawar puffs. You think it's
Right.
the only one I had?
Let's quickly cut before I just eat all of this. I need 5 minutes.
Man,
It's too good.
I need like
It's
the
too
International Association of Jawar Puffs to start giving me a commission.
Okay, cool. Let's start. In 1 second. 3, 2, 1. Wow. 3, 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Internet Set. So, a show you take random incidents, facts, and trivia, and opposite stories, and we talk about them. And today, since we told you guys in the last episode that we are literally out of topics, to tell you all, we spent 1 hour before we started recording this just trying to come up with a topic, but turns out we've spoken about fucking everything. So then we went through the comments to see topics that you guys have suggested, and geography facts is the winner. Geography facts is the first topic. So thank you. I forget who was it.
At this point in time, there are going to be people saying geography facts ho gaya.
So geography facts, guys, tell me, what are you a latitude kind of guy or a longitude kind of guy?
I'm 100% team latitude. 100%.
Latitude?
100, yeah.
Oh,
because dude, okay, here's the thing. Latitude actually affects your entire life. Like it changes, depends on where you are on the latitude, whether it changes how you live, because if you're closer to the North Pole, you're fucked. If you're closer to the equator, you're fucked. If you're in the middle, you're fine. It changes how you dress, how you communicate, what you look like. It changes everything. Longitude only changes what time you do your Zoom call between one person and another.
But it also
Baba, tu?
I think I'm a longitude kind of guy.
What?
No, I'm a latitude guy because I like cold. So the only reason if I was in a cold environment, I would have said I'm a longitude kind of guy. But because I'm in a hot environment, I am a latitude kind of guy. But if I was really tired and I had to go to work, I would be a latitude kind of guy.
Oh!
But if you were tired, you would be a latitude.
No, that is what Kautuk is. He's always latitude.
Yeah.
Because he's always late.
Must.
Good.
Prime content. You know when the guy wrote geography facts in the comments, this is exactly what he had in mind. This is the conversation that he wanted.
आज कुछ नया सीखूंगा, कुछ geographical features के बारे में. ये latitude.
No, the Thakur's one step short of asking, are you a stalactite or a stalagmite?
Yes, how did you know? Are you a stalactite kind of guy or a stalagmite?
Which is the one which grows top to bottom?
Stalagmite.
So I'm a stalagmite guy.
और stalactite नीचे से आता है ना?
I think
so.
Nobody knows.
But you know, talking about, it's interesting we spoke about geography facts because I just watched a movie recently called 13 Lives. And it's made by Ron Howard, has Colin Farrell and Viggo Mortensen in it. It's based on the rescue of these 13 kids and their football coach, 12 kids and their football coach who
From
were
the
caught in the mine, the Thang Mai or the
no, in
Chiang
the
Mai
cave, na? The Thai cave rescue.
cave. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's so weird is because before I watched this movie, मैं Instagram पे इस पे तो था where कुछ Elon Musk का मैं पढ़ रहा था उसमें one of the things that he had done was when this rescue operation was going on, he was very like active on Twitter and he was trying to help out, etc. So he
Elon.
apparently made Elon. He made this prototype of this single person submarine because if you remember the rescue, these guys were so far inside the cave that and it was flooded. So the divers would take about 3.5 hours or 4 hours to reach the spot where they were. And it's like fully ऐसे curved है, stalactite आ रहा है, stalagmite आ रहा है, छोटा खड्डा है, बड़ा खड्डा है. फिर एक जगह पे जाके you can take air and then go back down. So you have to carry oxygen cylinders, etc. And Elon Musk had made a one-person submarine to be able to take these guys out. And then I read about that. I'm like, fuck, how has nobody made a movie about this? Cut to next day, Prime Pay, 13 Lives, Ron Howard, same story. Have you watched it? You should. It's crazy.
अच्छा बना है.
It is. Matlab, dude, there's very little that you can do with a story like this, right? The story becomes the rescue operation and how it was done, right? And they did some really cool things where the actual divers, right? A lot of people volunteered from across the world. Okay, so these two guys, they were British guys. They were from the Divers Society Council, like a very random. You wouldn't expect these guys to be like, no, we're going to help out because they were experts in cave diving.
So why wouldn't you expect them to help out?
No, in the sense that it's not a government organization, right? It's not like the British government is helping out with the rescue. It's literally
that way.
अबे कल Lions Club बोलेगा मैं volunteer कर रहा हूँ.
No. I understand. Now I get it. But earlier what I had in my mind was that these guys are two guys who are experts in cave diving. Someone comes to them, says, hey guys, there's people trapped in a cave and we need you to dive. And they're like, fuck you.
नहीं. They went
हम लोग ये सब नहीं करते.
नहीं, they went voluntarily. And so when they went, the Thai military was trying to figure out, right, what is happening. Because पूरा time जब बारिश पड़ रहा है, even from the crevices in the mountain, the cave is getting filled. So all their pumps are kind of futile because torrential rain means पानी जाते रहेगा. तो जितना भी pump से बाहर निकाल, ऊपर से वैसे भी seeping हो रहा है. And these kids, like till these guys decided to go in, as in got the permission, because first they said nobody's going in until we figure out how to get the water out.
Right.
Then these guys are like, but we are experts in cave diving. Bhai, hum logo जाने दो पहला. So eventually, after all the options ran out, they said, okay, you guys go in. And you won't believe the first time that they went in, they actually managed to fucking locate the boys. And they didn't expect them to be alive because they were inside for about 10 days till the first contact happened.
Yeah.
So they're like, these kids are obviously dead. खाना नहीं है, क्या कर रहा है? कुछ अंदर कुछ भी हो सकता है ना, drown हो गया. It could be anything. Turns out all these kids were alive and well because their coach has helped them through this. They were a football team or something. The coach, through meditation and constantly talking to these guys, was able to keep them alive. Obviously, they lost a lot of weight and all of that. Yeah. That's unavoidable. But can you imagine? In लोग के पास सिर्फ torch है, and they are on like rocky surfaces, so you can't even sleep, right? Yeah, like it's not like it's flat ground. It's damp. It's wet. It's raining. It's scary because they could hear sounds, right, echoing and. Bro, तेरे पास अगर सिर्फ एक टॉर्च है और मैं तेरे को बोलूं तू बेंचो 2,500 मीटर अंदर है, whatever I don't remember the exact length of how far inside they were. Then they got the Thai military involved. Okay, they're trying to figure out how to do. These experienced divers with oxygen tanks were finding it tough. So they're like, how the fuck are these kids who have no experience going to be able to do this? So they'd almost given up till they're like, we have to figure something out. So you know what is the genius thing? Also scary, never attempted before, that they did. They went in, they sedated the guys.
The kids?
The kids. One by one, the kids were sedated. The oxygen mask and cylinder was put on them. Legs were tied, hands were tied. Uske andar buoyancy ke liye, they put plastic bottles. And these experienced divers are literally carrying these people around because they try to attempt a rescue with somebody halfway through before this main thing happened. And people start panicking in water, yeah.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
it's
yeah,
fully, if you're not an experienced person, never done scuba, never done any sort of diving, मैं तो गिव अप कर देता ब्रो. मेरा तो चांस ही नहीं है. मैं वियतनाम में करने गया था स्कूबा डाइविंग और सब 15 मिनट निकल के ऊपर आके बोट पे लेटेश कि नहीं
Oh,
हो
okay.
रहा है.
You know something, by the way, like I have a feeling that there must be so many professionals who deal with like novices who would love to do what these cave divers did. You know, like I can imagine air hostesses just going like, "Inko sedate kar dena chahiye. Peanuts manga raha hai." You know, just like
सब फ्लाइट पे सोए हुए.
yeah, just we'll wake you up when you land. Don't ask for chakna and vodka and whatever. Like, you know,
उन लोग ही बैठ के पिए.
yeah.
No, but it's crazy that like the geography of that cave was so intense. Still, with like human cooperation, people from 40 countries have volunteered in different ways. Americans hai, or thirty European countries hai. Somebody's helping with logistics, somebody's helping with communication. Even the villages around the mines were okay with their fields getting flooded because the water had to be pumped somewhere, right? It was being pumped into their rice fields, which were obviously going to get fucked, but they still came along. There was a bamboo forest close by. So what they were trying to do is from one more, like from the main crevice where water was going into the mountain, they decided to divert it using pipes, but they ran short of pipes. So क्या करे? तो villagers के साथ जाके bamboo है ना, bamboo को काटा है, उसको खोला है, and then that sort of becomes like a hollow pipe-ish only, na, and they've extended it. Insane. I mean,
Yeah,
movie is
yeah.
really long, but like to just imagine how something like this happens. It's
तो हम लोग का पहला टॉपिक ज्योग्राफी में 13 people.
geography है.
नहीं,
हाँ?
पहला टॉपिक 13 people.
But क्या segue जीत है क्योंकि geography भी है और story भी है.
But also,
ऐसा
dude,
honestly,
this
ऐसा
हाँ.
बहुत सारा great rescues हुआ है. ऐसा like you know even that movie called The Towering Inferno. I think that's what it's called. It was about a building that was on fire that people had to get out from, and it was a skyscraper. I think it was based on some true story. Then there was वो एक और था ना Mark Wahlberg वाला, which was about the rescue from
Perfect
the Gulf
Storm.
of Mexico.
Yeah.
No,
No, not Perfect Storm. This was the
rescue
Peterberg
from-
movie ना, जो
Yeah.
oil rig
Oil
जो
rig
फट गया
वाला,
था
हाँ, oil rig.
Mexico के पास.
Correct.
Yeah,
From
yeah,
the Gulf of Mexico, Mexico. So there are these, and what's really strange about this stuff is that a lot of them just seem to be natural disasters. And I mean, sure, you can't call the Gulf of Mexico
No, and human
technically a
error.
natural disaster, but it is because the pressure of the oil that sort of came out was too much to handle, which caused the fire, etc. And I'm
Human
saying
error, man. It's natural disaster plus human error. Like
It's
for
also humans trying to fuck with the natural order, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah,
the biggest example of this would be all the mountaineers who try and scale the Everest. Like we've spoken about this, I'm sure, before, because Abhi, if you see there's that iconic picture of that traffic jam on the way to Everest. उसका भी एक picture आया था where they showed Josh Brolin and all are in that movie. If you see, it's called
Everest.
Everest.
No,
Even
that's
that
not,
is a
that
mass.
is-
no, that's not Everest. That is
It is Everest.
It's
With-
Everest.
With
Oh yeah, it's called
Everest.
Everest. Sorry.
It's
I thought
Everest.
you
With
were
Josh.
talking about- Sorry. Yes, there's
With
K2
Josh.
goes, with that
No, that's vertical limit.
vertical
That is
limit.
that's fictional.
dude.
But this was based on an actual rescue that happened on
By the way,
Everest.
Yeah,
this movie Everest, it was based on a book by this writer called his name is John Krakauer.
Yeah.
Okay, he writes about like these. He's a very good, very interesting writer. He wrote a book called Into Thin Air because he was one
This
of
is
the
also
people who
converted
was
to a movie.
that's Everest,
Yeah.
and he was part of that.
Yeah.
He was in the
group of
movie
people.
also. He was
Yeah.
also in the movie.
Yeah.
No,
So
not
it's a
just
very
that,
good book.
Even and that picture, that line of thing is from that other documentary about Everest, where it's called 8 Peaks or 14 Peaks, I think it's called.
No, 14 Peaks is the Nepalese climber who decided to do that,
Sherpa,
right?
Yeah, the Sherpa who then started to climb to do that and all. So that picture is from one of his things where he's standing and there is this long line of people trying to climb.
Bro, also
Summit.
shout out to this film called Free Solo, where
Bro,
this
insane.
guy holy
El Capitan
shit.
जो वो जा रहा है ना.
Yeah.
I've not seen.
I think his name is Alex Honnold.
Yeah. So
Baba, here's
Free
what he
Solo is
does.
basic. बोल देखो तू.
You know what he does, Baba? So
Hmm.
he climbs this mountain called El Capitan. It's in America. And his thing is that he climbs mountains without a rope or harness or anything. So it's just hands,
ये
chalk.
कर रहा है.
Yeah.
Chalk. So it
And
doesn't slip. Bro, it's a documentary. It's not a movie. But even the documentary to watch ना, एक तो मेरे को थोड़ा height से फटता है. So you know when they show those shots, you get that tingling sensation in your legs. It's insane.
Bro, ये movie 3D में देखेगा तो फट जाएगा ना.
oh, yes. That's a movie they should make in 3D for sure. Yes, you're right. You're right. Also, Baba, you know something for a person who's on the other side of the camera. Like, so there was a thing about the BTS of this particular feat. So they filmed him basically scaling El Capitan. So the camera people, they had to do this as well. Obviously, they were experienced climbers, right? Using harnesses, all of that stuff. But they had this realization that they could possibly be filming a man's last moments on Earth. Because while
The
you're
whole
filming
time.
him, if one rock comes off, he's down. Right.
Yeah.
So that I feel like every crew on every Mission Impossible feels the same way.
Yeah, but bro, you remember there was a movie back, it was Stallone ka movie tha called Cliffhanger
Cliffhanger.
I
in
don't
the
know.
90s. It was about a
Cliffhanger.
rock climbing, mountain climbing.
It was about a
crew.
cliffhanger.
Yeah. और उसपे एक क्लिफ हैंगर है सिल्वेस्टर स्टैलोन और उसका क्रू में क्या होता है कोई मर जाता है फिर वो रिवेंज लेता है लेकिन ये सब हो रहा है माउंटेन पे.
Kautuk, it is not an animated movie called about a hanger whose name is Cliff.
Hilarious.
It is not a Pixar movie.
Hilarious. I don't know how it came together in your mind, Baba, but
Yeah.
But that's what it would be. The Cliffhanger by Pixar would be about a hanger called Cliff. That's what.
who comes to life when you shut the door of the cupboard.
and stuff like that. And he sings with his other hanger pals.
Yeah.
हाँ तो डायरेक्शन कर रहा है अभी और लाइफ में कि छोड़ दिया अभी इसके बाद ये फाइनल दिस वाज द फाइनल स्ट्रॉ फिर अभी बोला कि नहीं भाई थोड़ा पैक कर दो
Hey, someone
तो
should
क्या
make
हुआ? अरे
a.
बाबा एक हैंगर के ऊपर स्टोरी बना रहा है जिसका नाम क्लिफ है.
You know what?
Cartography.
Someone please do this. Please find a clip from the podcast of Baba, giving a soliloquy and using big words, and then just intercut it with Baba saying it's a hanger named Cliff.
और इसका तुम लोग क्लिप बनाओगे तो तुम हो क्लिप हैंगर.
Oh,
अच्छी बलिए
Why that song, Thakur? Why that song?
कुड़िए चढ़ा दूं.
Why that song?
hilarious.
Guys, sorry for constant chewing, but I just cannot stop eating this. It's so good.
Why that
और
song?
क्या? और अरे, you think I can explain the songs that come into my head? Don't
By
you
the
just
way-
wake up in the morning and then there's a song in your head and you're
Yes.
like, why?
Yes, yes.
And
Dude,
the person who has the biggest problem with this, unfortunately, is my wife because मैं उठ के पहले गाना उसके सामने गाने शुरू कर देता हूँ और वो पूछती है कि क्या है ये. मैं उस दिन उठ गया रिंकिया के पापा ही
What
No
is
context.
Rupika ke Papa? Yeah.
Oh,
हास दिले ही
Baba, you don't know this song?
रिंकिया के
No, what is this?
पापा.
it's
What?
Manoj Tiwari's best work. Genuinely, it's like a Manoj Tiwari, na?
Oh, how have you not? Yeah, Manoj Tiwari.
It's
Politician
it's-
come actor come singer.
Baba, it is what Gangnam Style was for K-pop. This was for Bhojpuri music.
Yeah,
it's true.
it's as catchy.
I've seen school ke time pe.
No,
and
it's not
I've
that.
seen But I don't know
It's-
what this is.
It's once it gets inside your mind, right? It will push stuff out. Like it'll push stuff like your
अभी
wife's
देख
name.
मैंने बोल
your
दिया
mother,
कि
your
मैं ये गाना
father.
गाया. Now it's playing in my head. Like
Yeah.
I'm talking to you guys, but मेरे गाने में बज रहा है.
But
दिमाग
by
में
the
बज
way,
रहा है गाना.
you know what Thakur does? Thakur is this guy. He's the patient zero of earworms because he'll come up with a earworm, then he'll tell it to you, and then you get it. Right? Like this one time, dude, he came in singing "Mere Mehboob Mere Sanam," and then like 4 hours later, I was singing it.
You Kautuk and Sidhi were dancing also on it. मैंने शादी में इनफैक्ट मैंने और निकिता ने इसमें डांस किया.
हाँ.
Huh?
Shit. Okay, coming back to
Hmm.
geography, I wanted to talk about this.
So
Like,
I think we should talk about escapes only now. We're almost done with geography, I think.
you mean
We'll save
second-hand stories?
geography. We should save geography for the next episode.
अरे but it is geographical escape.
No, but
Huh.
I wanted to talk
Escape
about
from
like
geography.
adventure plus geography, which is this key. Like now, geography is in the palm of your hand, right? You take it for granted because Google Maps shows you everything in half a second, right?
Correct.
But there was a time, like 100 years ago, when there were still parts of the world completely dark. No one knew what was in there. No one knew what you could find. Like the world was still genuinely a place. You know, they had that thing. Maps used to have a thing called "Here Be Dragons," right?
Hmm.
And those parts were places which hadn't been explored. So they were like, maybe there could be dragons. Who knows? We haven't checked. Right now, through satellite imaging, you can do everything. So the point I was trying to make was that, dude, back in the day, how much of geography has been done out of pure commercial interest, right? Like the British and the French and the Portuguese and the Spanish, they were horrible in terms of their world conquering, subjugating people, all of that stuff. But their desire for gold was so strong that there would be mercenaries, people who would get onto boats, sail to a far off place, and at the risk of animals, insects, disease, death, they would chart out maps and bring it back. Right?
So
like,
Kautuk, there's two sides to this thing, right? One is the romantic notion that humankind was meant for exploration.
yeah,
Because
Which it is.
because we stepped out of the sea and we decided to look,
we get
climb the
bored
mountain.
so fast.
Yeah,
We
climb
get
the
bored
mountain
so
and then
fast.
decided to go to fucking space and then from the moon and अभी Mars, अभी Jupiter भी जा रहा है, उसके बाद एक Neptune से photo लेके आ रहा है हम
You know
लोग.
something, Baba? I'll tell you something
But
else.
there's
Like
two
this
sides to it. One is the
Ah.
commercial interest of it all, and then the other is the
curiosity.
romance, the-
Yeah, sure. And the people.
I feel it started off as curiosity first,
and then it
because
became capitalistic.
only when curiosity happened were you able to find, oh अच्छा ये land है नया, तू Columbus पकड़ ले, तू Vasco da Gama किसको भी
Nahi,
पकड़
so
ले,
those
right?
were commercial interests. Those were all
But-
commercial interests.
But
So-
no, but that happened.
Columbus.
That happened.
Yeah,
चुप ना. That happened because somebody had gone earlier to tell you that अरे इंडिया जैसा एक land है, वहां पर spices है जो हम अपने खाने में कभी यूज नहीं करेंगे, but let's go colonize them. वो बाद में आया, ठीक है. चूते एक कोई भी तू डच बोल, ब्रिटिश बोल, सब लोग स्पाइसेस के लिए आए अपने पास. किसी के खाने में स्पाइस नहीं है. डच फूड इतना ब्लैंड है, तो डालना थोड़ा
अरे डच
धनिया पाउडर, गरम मसाला, जो चीज है सिर्फ चीज और वो फ्राई करके खा रहे हैं. एनीवे, पॉइंट इज दैट somebody at some point went, found India, then realized, oh, this land है, ये है, ऐसा है, इधर स्पाइस मिलता है, उसने जाके किसी को बोला, फिर कमर्शियली वो फैल जाता है. That's what I feel. पहले की बात है. अभी the best example I feel for like purely commercial after तेरा desert हो गया, सऊदी अरेबिया वो सब हो गया, ऑयल मिल गया, was Antarctica, right? Because that is, by the way, Antarctica पे कितने countries land claim करते हैं मालूम है?
सब लोग ऐसा. हाँ,
एक टप साइड पे इधर से मैक्सिमम शेयर है ऑस्ट्रेलिया है, नॉर्वे है, फ्रांस, थोड़ा यूके. many of times their territories overlap, so they went there mainly because सबसे latest discovered continent था. Antarctica was basically it's Antarctica, the name came from opposite of the Arctic, Antarctic. वैसा करके उसका नाम आया था. And then they went there purely obviously to see, because almost uninhabitable.
correct.
Inhabitable. What is it? What getting it wrong? Inhabitable. Completely inhabitable. But still, they believe that there is bajillion tons of oil under it, right? कि अपना मैं risk भी डाल दूंगा, but I want to go there. It's only now recently that they realize that, recently as in whenever the treaty was signed between all of these countries, to not do it for a commercial use and sort of what do you call it?
Research only.
Destroy. Research only, yes, that's the word I was looking for. With only research projects can happen there. You can't go start drilling for oil.
Correct.
You can't whatever little
can't
bit of the
wait for China
ecosystem is there.
Can't wait for China to violate this over some threat that they will do because somebody can't wait.
Yeah.
No, and also, dude, like, so I'd done a story about, there was an explorer called Ernest Shackleton. Okay, Ernest Shackleton was a guy who wanted to explore the South Pole, wanted to be the first person to do it. Didn't reach the South Pole because his ship got stuck in an ice floe. Okay, ice floe is just giant chunks of ice that stuck his ship into the sea, and it's about how he and his men survived and came back. Right now, the thing about this guy, Ernest Shackleton, was the spirit of adventure with which, like, this type of person used to be made. Right, like uh, there's a very, like, a piece of legend. No one knows whether it's true or not, but they say that there was an advertisement for getting the crew for his ship, and that advertisement basically sums up what the spirit of adventure was like. So he says that,
Mm.
um, pay very little, but heroism guaranteed. Right?
Mm.
And it was like, the valor and glory will be yours if you join this ship. And that basically summed up the kind of people you get for these kinds of missions, right? So,
Mm.
and the fact that geography used to be incredibly hard for a lot of people. Like, for example, the actual guy who made it to the South Pole, like the actual South Pole, was a guy called Roald Amundsen, right? And he was in a race with another guy called Robert Scott. And Robert Scott was late to the thing by a few weeks. Okay, there's a harrowing picture of Robert Scott and his team where they are standing at a camp. Okay, there's very few, there's 3-4 people in this photograph, and they're at a camp. And you think that it's a photograph of success. But if you look very closely, you'll see that these guys were Britishers, and the flags in the camp were Norwegian because they were at the camp of Roald Amundsen and they had missed it. Now imagine being that person. And by the way, the whole expedition died. All of them. Robert Scott's entire expedition was lost to the South Pole. So imagine being that person who came out with that idea of a quest for glory, did everything, weathered horrible conditions, was on a ship with fucking 40 other dudes, spent months trying to make this happen, reaching there and realizing that you're not the first person to do it and you're going to die. Like, the kind of spirit and character and things that you needed. Like, there are lots of people who are who you can say came out with questionable intention but remarkable character. Like, all of these people, whoever took up these missions, right, I can't even imagine. Like, so now for our generation, the frontier, which is the most exciting, which is the equivalent of what the South Pole used to be, is space.
Yeah.
Right, like, now
No,
the
and
people,
it's not just space, no, Kautuk. It's also what people are trying to do. I think we're trying to, the fact that Cameroon is spending so much time and so much money trying to create this submarine that will go to the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
yeah,
अबे उसने किया भी
that's what.
it went
Yeah.
to a certain point and it started cracking, so you had to fuck off back
Yeah,
up.
and he's trying to develop that versus trying to make tourism space travel. Like,
Yeah.
But वो तो everybody's getting into it. But funnily enough, we know more about space than we do about our oceans.
Oceans,
There's
yeah.
so much of our ocean that is still vastly undiscovered कि मेरे को लगता है एक दिन तो एक गुजिला मिलने ही वाला है अपने को, किधर ना किधर, किधर कोपची में होगा, बाहर आएगा एक बड़ा
क्या
100%.
Gila?
गुजिला.
Sorry, guys, can I just read this out? It's a 2-line thing. The advertisement that Shackleton put out. According to legend, Shackleton posted an advertisement in a London paper stating, "Men wanted for hazardous journey, low wages, bitter cold, long hours of complete darkness, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in event of success."
Wow.
Like,
Public जा रहे हैं.
please send in your CV to ernestShackleton@hr.com.
I don't think most people volunteering for this have a CV also. They just sort of bounce. They're like, "ये निकलने का थोड़ा घूम के आते हैं ना इधर, थोड़ा जाके आते हैं."
No, but just
no.
like, for example, like the maps that we take for granted right today, like, you fuck, meaning itna simple hai ye
Okay,
cheez.
do you feel this also? Like, I love seeing maps, especially like whenever I'm on a flight and if it's like a longish flight, बैठ के मैप्स, और वो भी अगर तू बाय चांस अगर
कैमरा
बिजनेस में जा रहा
कैमरा
तो इंटरएक्टिव मैप, तू पूरा
कैमरा
घूम के
कैमरा
जूम
वाला
जूम करके,
वो वाला भी
हाँ,
सही है.
वो एमिरेट्स पे तो पूरा कैमरा वैमरा दिख रहा है. I can watch it for hours. I can watch it for hours. मेरे को बहुत मजा आता है मैच देखने को. Like and
But like,
just
what do you look for? Like, what is it the most entertaining thing about it?
nothing.
you?
Just you see everything from the topography, how
it's
like
quite
different
something.
countries being connected. You know, like you see the Rockies. They're stretching from one thing to the other. Oh, इधर ये है, उधर भी था. Italian Alps, bro. It goes from French to Italian to Swiss. वो पूरा तेरा Alps ही चल रहा है.
Yeah,
Crossing
and also
three
like
countries. इतना अलग है. पानी, bro. When I was in Ladakh, I remember उधर वो जो दो rivers का confluence है ना. It's called, one is Zanskar, right, and the other is what? Indus and Zanskar, is it? Which are the two?
Could it be Indus?
Bro, in Ladakh, I forget. And when you see it, bro, they are different colors.
Yeah.
You can see the fucking color difference. It just blows my mind. In fact, when I had gone to, I think I've said this before, I'll say it again because it's so crazy.
Yeah.
Pangong Lake जाएगा ना?
Indus
and Zanskar, right? Yeah. Pangong Lake, तू जाके देख रहा है, ब्यूटीफुल है. इंडिया का साइड जो 40 तक का है वो पूरा सॉल्टी है, चाइना का पूरा स्वीट. You know, like, so it's just interesting. And when it comes to any sort of geography, topography, I am fascinated by mountains.
No, also what's really
I fucking love the mountains. It's just
what's really exciting is when you're sometimes that high up, or for that matter when you're like when you can see the distance, you can actually see the curvature of the earth when you're looking at that thing. So you can literally see the curvature, and it's quite something when you're like 30,000 feet up and you can see that.
In fact, I was watching this really cool, you know, when they talk about the continent of Pangaea, right? मतलब पहले बोल रहे थे पूरा अर्थ वाज वन थिंग, इट वाज कॉल्ड पैंजिया, फिर ये हुआ, सब फैल गया, तो आधा इधर चले गया, आधा उधर चले गया. So I went to this rabbit hole of seeing like what could be an approximate way in which Pangaea, what is the closest representation of the continent that was Pangaea, and how it would then make the countries different, right? Like it's nuts that somebody, like the person who put this theory forward, I forget again the name, but he was just looking at a map and he saw that, oh, the eastern coast of the South America is very, like it looks quite similar to the western coast of Africa. And then जाके देखा, अरे ये तो match हो रहा है. Then, you know, you start putting all of these things together.
It's a puzzle with 7 pieces.
Yeah,
where you have to make it look like it's on the box. Yeah,
like even the forming of the Himalayas, right? Like India एक side पे था, उधर जाके get banned into Tibet, and then that's how mountains were created, right? When two land masses collide, they form a mountain, right? To just see like a graphical representation of this with like VFX, that was really cool. And it's fascinating for me. Geography has always been just fascinating. कि कैसे चीजें
except
हो रही है, कैसे
in
दिख
school
रही
where
है.
it was capitals for no reason and
oh
names
my
were
god,
key and stuff like that.
yeah, like, where does coffee grow? Who cares? Like I mean, like it was that's the thing, na? Like when you teach
but the story of how
context,
coffee came to India is so nice, right?
That's the thing. Like if you teach it without context, who gives a fuck? Like if you say that, sorry, fuck, it was close. But yeah, I mean, the other thing that they don't teach you is how much effect geography had on culture/history, right? Meaning, like the fact that the very fact that America was founded because of a mistake of geography.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Dude was coming to India, went to a different place, decided to call them Indians.
Indian. यही है.
Fuck it.
और फिर लेके वापस गए मसाले के. सर मसाले नहीं है इधर, मसाले नहीं है. सीधे तेरे को मसाला लाने भेजा था कोलंबस. सर मसाला नहीं है, लेकिन सर कॉटन है, सर कॉटन है, कॉटन लेके आए. और क्या है सर? शुगर. हाँ ठीक है, चल.
चलेगा.
सोचना
MDH.
हाँ, मतलब क्या ढूंढने गए, क्या मिला, क्या बन गया.
And a result of and a mistake of ego, saying that नहीं उधर ही है America, India उधर ही है.
सोच अगर तूने वो गया ही नहीं होता उधर, if he had not founded that, and the other, like the conquistadors had not gone and found like the rest of the Central American countries, islands, क्या होता ब्रो? अभी एक साइड कुछ अलग चल रहा है, उधर कुछ अलग ही चल रहा होता.
Yeah.
No, at some point, someone would have found it.
No, like, something like, I'll give you another example of history, geography coming together. So there was I was watching a video about how football transfers are taking place today. Okay. Football transfers in the modern age, where a lot of Brazilian players make their way to Europe, and they make their way to Europe through Portugal because of shared
Yeah.
language and culture and history and geography, because the conditions in Portugal are not exactly like Brazil, but they're pretty close or closer than the rest of Europe. So if you were a Brazilian player who wants to move to Europe, Portugal would be one of the best places for you to start. Culturally speaking, like just temperature wise, climate wise, all of those things, right? So just the way that like those two countries are separated by so much water. It's probably the most amount of water that you can put between two countries, and yet those cultures have so much in common, right? So and you're being impacted. Like, for example, even I was watching MasterChef, right, recently, MasterChef Australia. Now over there, it's people cooking in Australia, but contestants from different parts of the world, right, origins. And you see that a lot of them, a lot of the Asian contestants or Asian origin contestants will make very similar profiles of food, and they do that because of their similar shared geography, right? So all of this, like, it's happening every single day, and but you have to pay attention to notice how much geography affects you, right? Like, we assume that it doesn't have that kind of impact, but it's happening like the stuff we wear, the things we do, like, it's all completely dependent. But for example, for the longest time, India was protected from invasions from the west because of the Himalayas,
Yeah.
right?
Hindu
Like,
Kush.
From the
Hindu Kush.
northwest.
from that north area, as
Yeah.
literally, we are, by the way, China is bitterly cold and we are not as cold because of the Himalayas.
Correct.
So like, just the luck of having certain geographical things.
But I wish जब बन रहा था ना अपना इंडिया का लैंड में जब बना, थोड़ा नॉर्थ चले जाते यार, थोड़ा ठंडा होता, मजा आता। क्यों वो टाइम पे नहीं हुआ यार? थोड़ा और एक ऐसे लेफ्ट लेके थोड़ा ऊपर, बस ठंडा है, जैकेट पहन सकते हैं रोज, इधर गर्मी चिकट है।
You're saying वो 8 degrees latitude से ऐसा 16-20 डिग्री latitude हो जाना चाहिए था वैसा।
हाँ, मतलब मेरे को रहना बॉम्बे में ही है, लेकिन बॉम्बे अभी दिल्ली का है, वहां है, या उससे भी ऊपर। बॉम्बे जहाँ कश्मीर है ना, एक्चुअली वहां है, मुझे बॉम्बे चाहिए। एंड देन इंडिया इज फर्दर नॉर्थ फ्रॉम देयर।
ठीक है, तो आर्कटिक एंटार्क्टिका में,
हाँ, नहीं आर्कटिक रहने देना उधर किधर भी, बाकी रशिया को छोटा कर देना, इतना बड़ा है साला, उसका 11 अलग टाइम जोन है।
11 अलग टाइम जोन, लार्जेस्ट लैंड मास, फिर भी जाने का उसको पीछे।
Bro, what you were saying, Baba, once about like the reason, like the very fucking most annoying thing, right, of having dust every second of every day of your life in India.
That subcontinent is it's called the Dust Bowl.
It's
right?
called the Dust Bowl,
including the Middle East.
No, but if you watch this show called Connected on Netflix, they say this amazing thing about, you know, how
Africa
storms and
Amazon में जाता है ना?
हाँ, जो तेरा पूरा सहारा का जो डस्ट वस्ट है, वो जो एक तो स्टॉर्म बन जाता है, स्टॉर्म जाता है तेरा अटलांटिक ओशन में, दैट अटलांटिक ओशन विद द currents takes the storm towards Brazil, where all the minerals, because it's all degenerated, like what do you call what is it called, like
carcasses,
not, yeah, carcasses, वो एक टाइम पे तो उधर था ना, पानी, झाड़, fossils, yeah, and all of that, uska nutrients go, and that's what made the Amazon.
Yeah, but just,
which is also,
remember, before the continents split, just imagine how big that desert was. It was the Sahara Desert.
But dude, I don't think it was always the desert. It was water first. That water dried up.
Yeah, but I'm saying, just imagine, technically, if you see it, that entire section of the map is brown, because it starts literally from the west of Africa, or almost the Midwest of Africa, goes all the way through the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, etc., and comes to India in Rajasthan, which is But I'm just saying, like, it's so crazy, dude. Just that amount of land, and we are the dust
बाबा
bowl.
रूम नंबर बता ना, किधर है राजस्थान में? रूम नंबर भी बता.
वो नहीं.
डॉक्स डॉक्स करना. रॉयल
मैं
पैलेस रूम 402.
रॉयल पैलेस.
मतलब ट्रस्ट मी, अगर तू राजस्थान में उधर एक रॉयल पैलेस नाम का होटल तो है.
100%. हंडो भी.
हाँ,
Hando bhi. But I'm just saying, like, even if you, to me, sometimes it's just absolutely fascinating to realize. But yes, we are. I think I would
I
trade,
remember.
Varun, I would trade your heat map for non-dust. I would trade it to get
किधर जा
European
रहे
light,
नॉन-डस्ट?
to get European light. If we were not in the dust bowl, I'd be very
हाँ, तो अभी जिधर एम्स्टरडैम है उधर डाल देते हैं इंडिया को. एक्चुअली सच बताओ, मैं किधर मजा आएगा एक और, अगर तेरे को डस्ट में चाहिए नहीं तो जिधर स्टॉकहोम है ना,
हाँ.
स्टॉकहोम या ऑस्लो नहीं, बहुत डाउन है स्टॉकहोम.
Zurich
लेकिन
ही
थोड़ा
करते हैं
लाइट
ना?
भी चाहिए,
Zurich,
थोड़ा लाइट
Zurich.
भी चाहिए, लेकिन
Zurich.
लाइट चाहिए. ठीक
तो
है, मैं बात करता हूँ.
ठीक है, तो एक
बात
काम
करता
कर,
हूँ.
तो ज्यूरिक
मैं
किधर
कॉन्ट्रैक्टर
जाएगा
से
वो
बात
भी बता मेरे को.
मैं तेरे को बोल रहा था कि हम लोग ओशन की बात कर रहे थे, किधर में वाज इट अ मीम दैट आई सॉ और व्हाट, बट किसी ने ओशन को ना रिव्यू दिया है गूगल पे.
Yeah. I've seen this.
Was it a meme, right? Like somebody rated Pacific Ocean 3 star, 3 out of 5. क्यों भाई, बाकी तेरे 2 स्टार क्यों नहीं दिए? मेरे को जानना है.
You know something else? Like, so I was thinking
Too
about
cold.
this. When I think when we were talking about like travel and things like a long time back in this episode. But here's what I was thinking about. For animals, right? Animals, like the general non-human species, right? For them, moving out of a particular habitat is a very expensive process, and expensive in terms of energy and chances of survival. Yeah, they don't. It's not पैसे का बात नहीं.
फ्लाइट महंगा है, बिजनेस क्लास तो लेना पड़ेगा. पिजन क्या बोल रहे हो? पेंगुइन.
So as long as they have resources wherever they are situated, they tend not to move. But the minute resources go down, they have to move out to look for better pastures. That's how a lot of like migration and change in location happens.
लोग भी इंडिया ढूंढ रहे स्पाइसेस के लिए.
So a lot of the migration of human populations also happened for that reason, right? कि ice age हुआ तो चल निकलते दिखते किधर नहीं है ice, right? So all of that was happening. So a lot of the stuff that today we do for fun used to be done just for the survival. Right? Now we're like कि यार ये मुंबई में बोर हो रहा है यार, क्या कर रहा है क्रिसमस के अराउंड, कहीं जाना है क्या? Do you know how trekking is a great example. Like, to just go through that as a fun activity is ridiculous. Like, if you told anybody about this even 150 years back, they would be like, कुछ problem है क्या तेरे life में?
But that was life. तू पहाड़ में जाके किधर चल के जा रहा है ऊपर माउंटेन में, क्योंकि तू रहता है उधर. It's not something you do on a weekend.
It's not for fun.
तेरे को खाना पीना सब मिल रहा है कि तेरे को ऐसे ही जाने का, चलने को
ऐसे ही कौन जा रहा है, dude? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, the amount of planning. So the other thing we've done to facilitate this conquering of geography is that we have made travel so convenient. Like, back in the day, if you had to travel anywhere, if you had to travel up a mountain, 6 months, you had to organize a whole team. You had to put an ad like Shackleton.
You're talking about not even too long ago. I will tell you, this is fucking 75 years, 80 years ago, when the Indian cricket team had to travel to England for a tour.
By boat.
Bye huggy wuggy देके 6 महीने के बाद मिल रहा मैं तेरे को, परिवार को. Bro, गया इंग्लैंड.
और फिर सोच, उधर हार के आया तो
अरे वो 1 साल के बाद वापस आ रहा है ब्रो.
अबे हारा तो भी चल, समझिस, खेला तो सही. अगर तू इंग्लैंड गया, उधर बारिश पड़ गया, तू खेल भी नहीं पाया, तू 6 महीना
लूज पे हार के आया.
Bro, I'm saying you're still talking about yesterday. I'm talking about a cricket team going to England in a ship. Would take months to get there.
Dude, now we take all this for granted ना कि अभी अरे वेस्ट इंडीज का टूर को
अरे अभी हम लोग क्रिप करते हैं, अभी हम लोग क्रिप करते हैं कि हम लोग का फ्लाइट 5-10 मिनट लेट है. क्रिप कर रहे हैं, क्या चूतिया प्लेन है.
नहीं, लेकिन you know when you see out the other mountain ranges also, right? अभी मैं जैसे डोलोमाइट जाके, which is Italian Alps, So you have two ways. One is to gondola लेके जा. तो तू चिलीज है, केबल कार कॉल ना.
Oh,
ऊपर
I
जो
thought
जाता है.
gondola meaning the Venetian. Oh,
No,
तू
no, that is
boat
the
और
gondola,
आदमी
but
लेके.
ऊपर एक ऊपर जाने वाले को भी gondola बोलते
Okay, okay, हाँ,
हैं. केबल कार फॉर इजी अंडरस्टैंडिंग,
हाँ.
राइट? सो मैं और निकिता मैं चल के कौन जा रहे हैं अभी ऊपर. बाकी ट्रेकर पब्लिक ब्रो, हम लोग तो आराम से केबल कार में ऊपर 10 मिनट में पहुंच गए टॉप पे. मतलब आई कांट इवन सी द स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट, वी आर दैट हाई अप. And there's a whole bunch of people that have done a 4-5 hour fucking proper trek. And when I've seen these people, these are like 60-year-olds,
Yeah.
50-year-olds. That जज्बा ऑफ भाई,
Oh.
नहीं मैं माउंटेन पे ट्रैक करूंगा या करूंगी. चल के आया. हम लोग दोनों चिलीज नहीं भाई, अभी कौन जा रहा है चल के.
ब्रो ये
बट
भी
समथिंग
हाँ बोल.
something about the mountains is just, I don't know, like what do you guys like more? You like being in the water, being in the mountain?
I
Like
prefer mountains.
I prefer my bed, but no,
तेरा
I think
बेड कैसे ज्योग्राफी में घुसा रहा है तू? मैं
सही बोल रहा है. No, I think I'm a mountain person and an underwater like diving person. मेरे को बीच बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं है क्योंकि सैंड चिपक जाता है पैर पे. तो वो
देखो मेरे को पानी से, आई थिंक डीप वाटर से मेरी थोड़ी फटती है, ठीक है. सो माय चाचा और माय ब्रदर्स फ्रेंड, इन लोग जो मर्चेंट नेवी उससे पे आते हैं ना, सो दे आर एट टाइम्स बैंग इन द मिडल ऑफ टू अटलांटिक के बीच में. कुछ है ही नहीं आजू
कुछ भी
बाजू,
नहीं है. Yeah.
कुछ नहीं है,
Yeah.
कुछ नहीं है. तो उधर those sites are crazy. He sends pictures, bro. When you look up, there is no light pollution, क्योंकि उधर कोई बेंचो स्ट्रीट लाइट, धुआं गाड़ी, कुछ नहीं है. Bro, he's like, dude, even on a normal phone, you'll be able to see the fucking Milky Way का. अभी not
Yes.
Milky Way, उसमें तेरे को खोलना पड़ेगा exposure, but you see like the stars come out
Yes.
like you've
Yes.
never seen them before.
Yeah.
Also, the marvel of these ships to just go through that water. Because he sent us videos wherein पानी ऐसे आ गया है पूरा ऊपर.
Oh,
मतलब
you wanna?
ship is huge. It's like I can't. मैं सिर्फ वीडियो कैसे ले रहा है ब्रो? मेरी देख के गांड फट रही है फोन पे. ये वीडियो ले रहा है.
If you want to artificially induce anxiety, just go to YouTube and type huge waves hitting ships. There's a whole subculture of this stuff where these shippies have taken these insane videos, dude. It's like ऐसा धक-धक होता है while you are sitting in your flat in अंधेरी.
देख कैसे chill तू वीडियो. How are you calm enough to hold it straight, bro? I would be fucking in a bunker lock करके, भाई पानी नहीं आना चाहिए अंदर. It's insane.
No, and also like the like I think the ship guys are the merchant navies, the navies, all of these people, like they're the, I think, also the highest order of explorer adventurers that we have currently.
You know, during even
like,
the people from the navy who are part of the submarines.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You are in a metal tube, and it's not even like a plane which is a good-looking metal tube. इधर तू literally ऐसा
सॉसेज में,
लोखंड के बीच में
तू
एक लंबा सॉसेज है, बटन है, एक व्हील है, एक पेरिस्कोप है, और अंदर वो एक डिप्रेसिंग येलो भी नहीं, सॉरी, it's that white light, and it turns red when it's danger. How are they fucking going through it? It's
suppose you're in a 2-person submersible at the bottom of the ocean in that little small bubble of metal and air, और उसमें एक में से
दो जन ने पादा.
तो मेरे साथ हुआ है, बट सबमर्सिबल नहीं. मैं बुर्ज खलीफा गया था.
हाँ.
लिफ्ट में
10 साल पहला लिफ्ट में.
Oh god.
सिर्फ देसी है लिफ्ट में. तो वो एक किसी ने छोड़ दिया है और सब एक दूसरे को देख रहे हैं. ठीक है, सब एक दूसरे को देख के वो डाउट चालू हो गया. वो गेम है ना, एक किलर गेम जो होता है, चिट के साथ यू हैव टू फाइंड हू द किलर इज. सब एक दूसरे, लकीली बुर्ज खलीफा का लिफ्ट है, तो तू ऊपर ऐसे 1 मिनट में क्या व्हाटएवर, इट्स वेरी फास्ट. सेम चीज अगर इधर मेरे भाड़ा के लिफ्ट में हुआ होता ना ब्रो.
No, but if you're in the submersible, would you make that call where you say, you know what, I'm gonna take a chance and release some oxygen? But I can't, dude.
तूने मास्क भी पहना ना ब्रो. तू सोच ना, like I'm just like even from a, like I know we were talking about mountaineering and stuff, you know, मैंने मेरा माउंट एवरेस्ट का सपना इसके लिए छोड़ दिया because it's not the tallest mountain in the world. That's why I don't want to.
अच्छा बाबा.
Are you giving some fact?
Yeah,
Oh,
that I don't
yeah,
want to
both.
climb Everest anymore because
Oh, oh.
I mean, what's the point, right? Like, this Mauna Kea
So,
actually is the tallest because it's fucking
but it's submerged, na?
it's submerged. And also, funnily, even though Mount Everest is the tallest from sea level up, there's another mountain which is higher than Everest just by virtue of being on a higher curvature. So because it's like that, so it's closer to the moon technically. The other mountain, it's higher than Everest. I think it's called Chimborazo or something like that.
You know,
It's
just the fact that we're discussing the height of some of the biggest mountains over a call, right? But ये पहले तो नहीं मालूम था, सब बोल रहे हैं ऊंचा है, लेकिन माउंटेन को मेजर भी करना,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
How do you know Everest is 8,463 feet high? How do you know? Like just that process of being able to do it, it's insane, bro.
8,800 and something. Huh.
But
Correct.
I was close, ना 8,000 के आसपास है ना.
8,800 and something. I think 48 or something.
No, but you're right. Like I'm sure there must have been one
Even
guy
the
who.
Mariana Trench की तूने ऐसा चुक 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 चुक
नहीं,
डॉपलर
उसको
डाल के
अगर उसको ऐसा किया ना,
तो उसके
तो
अंदर
वो
बहुत
भी
सारा
डिस्टेंस
एवरेस्ट
बढ़ा है.
बहुत
हाँ,
सारा एवरेस्ट
हाँ.
फिट होता है उसमें. हाँ.
I love these documentaries जिसमें उन लोग दिखाते हैं ना, when they have to show water, right? They have to tell you the amount of pressure you will feel
If you
It's
go.
like
as you keep going
48
deeper.
elephants standing on your balls.
They always do that. They always
Yeah.
do that. First, it's like having 4 trucks on you. The pressure at this many feet is like having 8 gorillas on you, and the pressure at this is having like 48 elephants who have 50-ton rocks in
Yeah,
their hands that have.
it's like a Discworld novel.
I was just like, I know you're trying to simplify it and make us understand the enormity, but 48 elephants बोलेगा चीतिए.
The
ऐसे नहीं
problem
कि
is
मेरे पे elephant ने पैर रखा है कभी, जो मेरे को मालूम है कि वो
exactly that's
pressure
what I was
कितना.
coming to. It's not like I have had the weight of an
Context.
elephant on me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Context
you,
is missing.
Like
You
it
could
should
just-
be, it should be stuff that you have experienced, right? It's like
yes.
14,000 school bags.
Bag, school bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
वो तो मिलियन होगा.
Yeah.
like 14 million स्कूल बैग. फिर मैं समझ गया, हाँ ठीक है, कौन सा वाला है, क्योंकि स्कूल बैग और कॉलेज बैग अलग था. मेरा स्कूल बैग था, मेरा कॉलेज बैग एक बुक था जो मैं फोल्ड करके बैक पॉकेट में डालता था, और मैं कॉलेज जाता था, पेन आगे के पॉकेट में, बुक बैक के पॉकेट में, सब
और
बुक
तू
सब
और तू
सब्जेक्ट
कॉलेज
एक ही
जाता
है.
था और तू कॉलेज जाता था.
नहीं, नीचे जाके चिलीज और मौका हुक्का भी नहीं.
You know what I want someone to do? I want someone to just make a super cut of all the places where we've actually spoken about geography. And it'll be like a 3-minute episode.
यार सब everything has a geographical connect. See, when I used to go to college, it was like the
I moved
curvature
from
of
one
the earth.
geographical location to another.
No, and the
I don't
curvature
know.
was there.
My thing is-
Therefore, making it a longest college building. But
No, I just think that what we should do is not commit to a topic at the top.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Finish
commit
the
to it at the
episode
end. Correct.
and then be like,
Why?
जो हम लोग नॉर्मली करता है, क्योंकि ये एपिसोड ज्योग्राफी के बारे में तो नहीं.
बहुत सारे तो पढ़ना, थोड़े फास्ट पढ़ अपने
नहीं, हो गया
geographical
अभी.
experiences.
पैकअप
नहीं,
पैकअप पैकअप
क्यों पैकअप?
पैकअप हो गया अभी.
क्या पैकअप?
बाबा
बाबा
ने
को
पैकअप
मीटिंग के लिए जाने का.
इतना सा बोलने के बाद बाबा ने एक फैक्ट दिया कि माउंट एवरेस्ट ना इज नॉट द टॉलेस्ट.
अरे उसके पहले तो बात किया ना, बट सब फलसफा ही है ब्रो. मैं वही
हाँ.
बोल रहा हूँ. फलसफा ही है.
आज तू कुछ हिंदी डिक्शनरी खोल दिया लगता
अरे
है.
आओ सिखाओ तुम्हें अंडे का फंडा है. इस फलसफा आई लर्न फ्रॉम दैट सॉन्ग.
I still don't know the context of what falsifa was. I thought they were just trying to rhyme.
By the way-
जीवन का फलसफा is the philosophy of life, no?
By the way,
Oh.
there's one other
Philosophy
fact,
is falsafa in Hindi.
फलसफा.
Not a single fuck was given that day. अरे यार, philosophy के लिए हिंदी वर्ड ढूंढते हैं, फलसफा.
नहीं
अरे
नहीं.
you're just spelling philosophy incorrectly.
Yeah, Thakur, it's mispronouncing it.
Yeah.
इसने क्या बोला तूने? फल चलेगा, चल डाल दे.
Falsify. अरे वो तो इंग्लिश है. अरे
It's basically
falsify.
like it's not it's the knowledge. It's gyan. It's that's what philosophy. I mean that in that context philosophy. But yeah, it's falsafa.
No, but guys, the people who have actually come to this episode to know about some more geographical facts, we have to give them some power. So that shit that you have opened, which we can see a reflection of in your eyes. Can you tell
There
us
is
some
nothing-
facts?
But you don't.
There is nothing. that the list that Baba has opened has 150 crazy geography facts.
No, but here's did you know? I'll try to. Did you know that 90% of the population lives in the northern hemisphere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the others
Did you
are
know?
MasterChef
Did you
contestants.
know? Did you know that Africa is the only continent that spans
Hey,
across all hemispheres?
Yes.
oh, interesting. But by the way, this thing about uh the northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, right? What's interesting is that the southern hemisphere has their uh the seasons reversed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So they have summer in December and winter in
ऑस्ट्रेलिया
June.
दिसंबर
Exactly.
में समर मना रहे हैं अब। देख भाई, तू कोई भी हेमिस्फीयर बोल, हम लोग इधर एक ही चीज मना रहे, गर्मी। ठीक है, हम लोग को क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है? इट्स गर्मी विद स्वेट, गर्मी विद रेन,
Less sweat.
एंड गर्मी विद लेस स्वेट। ये
Yeah.
अपने पास
No,
तीन।
it is our, we have 2 seasons, summer and not summer.
वी हैव वन सीजन, इट्स कॉल्ड एसी चालू कर। That's
So, but yeah,
हाँ,
no. What were we talking
but yeah, no.
about? Yes.
You know, Mexico is sinking.
What?
Yes. Yeah.
Economically or like geographically or
No, geographically.
No,
geographically?
And
I think by three inches.
and a part between LA and San Francisco is getting swallowed into the
So
earth.
because of the fault line, उधर fault
Yeah.
line है ना हर
So,
इस पे।
In
तो
15 million years, LA and San Francisco will be
and
neighbors.
guys, you know, world famous researcher, cartographer, and geography topography specialist, The Rock, made a movie on it called San Andreas, which is about the San Andreas fault line. तो
Correct.
अगर वो हुआ ना तो ऐसे नीचे आ जाएगा, तो मतलब LA और San Francisco will become like neighbors, which is now a 3-4 hour journey.
We've spoken about, like, I think we have spoken about, like, the maps that we use, the cartography that we use, the maps
We
that
spoke about maps.
yeah, and those maps are like heavily biased towards the northern hemisphere and towards
Hmm.
the northern hemisphere, because like Africa is actually so much larger than what it sort of appears. And so that's an interesting thing if you guys can read about, like, just different maps and what
Welcome to this podcast. You do the podcast on your own.
on your own. We tell you what to
Read
read about.
it, read it in your own voice.
But
or
if
read
we've
it in our
already
voice
read
in your
it,
head.
if we've already read it and done it, then what's the point, right?
Yeah,
So,
but no, today, like, Australia always fascinated me as a fucking continent, bro. Like, look at
सोच ना, उन लोग के पास एक रॉक है जो एक्चुअली माउंटेन का साइज का रॉक है, लेकिन
हाँ,
वो
but
रॉक
वो
है,
biggest.
लेकिन वो रॉक है क्या
Dude,
है?
even just to have that casual outback, क्या है outback है उधर, मीलों करोड़ों मीलों तक कुछ नहीं है,
Correct.
रेगिस्तान है, ये है, 4-5
Dude,
कैंगरू
that
दिखेंगे।
place shouldn't have been called Outback. It should be called Back Out. Because when you see it, that's what you should have done. Hey, reverse
But no-
reverse le.
No, to think about that also, right? We were talking about commercial benefits, curiosity as a benefit for exploration. British लोग को, गुंडों को, चोरों को, people who have done wrong, incarcerated people के लिए एक separate जगह चाहिए. That's how Australia was found.
Yeah. Dude, but
They
can you
wanted to
imagine? Can you imagine how bad the Aboriginals must have felt when these guys must have shown up? And they must have been like, "Why are you guys here? Oh, it's a jail now."
हाँ,
I
नहीं
live
ये
in
मेरा
a
घर
jail.
है, नहीं ये मेरा घर है, नहीं ये जेल है अभी से, चल
हाँ.
ये मर्डरर, किलर, रेपिस्ट, ये टेररिस्ट, सबको उधर भेजे. But see, from what it started to what it's become, it's, in my opinion, one of the more liberal, fun countries that are there. Like, what started off in origins of it being like all the people who were incarcerated, to then over the years and generations becoming like a fucking thriving country.
Dude, you know something, by the way, very similar, like the Andaman and Nicobar, because of their island status, used as jail, right? It was the Kalapani. So there's an island next to Andaman and Nicobar.
Yeah, which
is
Indian government has protected it because
it's called Ross Island.
yeah.
So Ross Island is very interesting because you go there and it used to be a jail. So what happened
you're
is
talking about Ross Island. No, I'm not
Yeah.
talking about Ross Island.
no. So Ross Island used to be it's in the Andaman archipelago, used to be a jail, and the Britishers fled. Okay, they just left all their infrastructure, everything, and they just bounced from Ross Island. Now, what happened to Ross Island is that eventually nature just overtook the whole island. So if you go there, it's this incredibly beautiful but haunting place where you will see these jail houses. You will see these the settlements where the British officials used to live, and it's all overrun by nature. There are deers, there are rabbits, and it just is the most it's what would happen to humanity when eventually global warming swallows us up. Right? Like it's just the most haunting fucking place.
It's what happened in the time during the lockdown where nature took
Yeah,
took it
came
back.
back.
तो सब पानी वानी आ गया, सब रास्ते पे आ रहे, डियर स्ट्रीट्स में भाग रहे.
Dude, just look up these pictures from Ross Island, Andaman, because you'll see these
Dude,
like
But I'm saying you even take a look at like North Sentinel.
That's what I was going to talk about. That's the most latest, non, what is the term called? Like they're absolutely cut off
uncontacted,
from
uncontacted tribes.
uncontacted. Yeah. So they did that. They tried to go. I think first the Christian missionaries had gone. They were attacked with like spears and all. Ki bhai idhar mat aao. Some of them, if I'm not mistaken, lived with them also, right? One of this.
There was
I
no the
remember
most
reading
the
about
most
this.
famous case that happened recently
Is some
was
guy
the
went,
story
no?
of John Allen Chow, I think his name was. I was going to do a second story on his misadventure. So John Allen Chow, he overzealous man who thought that he could convert the people of
This is
the
the
Sentinel
one.
Island. So they're called the Sentinelese people. And he got off the boat. A lot of people warned him, don't do it, because they're hostile people. They've not been contacted and they don't take kindly to contact. But he didn't heed their warning. He goes to North Sentinel, and gets off the boat, swims to the island, meets them, and he expects kindness, but instead they obviously didn't reciprocate, and he ended up being beheaded and lost his life on that island.
Yeah.
So
Correct. That's he was a missionary, right? He was a Christian missionary. Yeah. I remember reading about this. In fact, like Istanbul is both in Europe and Asia because of the Bosphorus Strait that goes between both continents. Like these are the things that I fucking really like love about geography in general. How something on like literally just apart by a few hundred kilometers is completely different. Like Sahara mein te paas desert tour, but you also get snow there. They've recorded snow like thrice. 130 136 डिग्री फ़ारेनहाइट है गर्मी, और suddenly जब ये chill sets in, it becomes like 45 55 degrees, and you actually like gotten snowfall recorded there thrice. So desert और जो snow साथ में.
One of the guys who really did a lot of geographical work was Alexander the Great. Okay, because he starts out from Macedonia, reaches all the way to India. Okay, wanted to go further, but his generals were like, "Bhai, I'm really missing my family. Please, yaar, chal na wapas. Bas yaar, bas." So that's why he started moving back. But what this incredible trek did was that it discovered a lot of it like cut through so many territories and they gathered a lot of information back. So he used to, and the other thing that they used to do was they used to take scholars with them कि तू चल, हम लोग मार काट करेंगे और तू उधर जाके हाँ लिख के आ क्या क्या देखा, क्या plant.
Correct.
So they did a lot of discovery through that thing. And a lot of it was,
in fact, there's the story also of a lot of people like Alexander the Great's descendants or the descendants of his army and generals are also found in Himachal, because after doing all of this, when they said चल वापस जा रहे, तो public बोले चूतिया मैं दूर नहीं आया, मैं इधर ही रहेश. And they literally said fuck it, and they started living Himachal में. Then they obviously mingle and then procreate with the locals. फिर एक दूसरा ही lineage चालू हो जाता है, and a lot of those descendants are still there. same with अपना कौन है वो Genghis Khan. इतना territory ये किया है that I think wasn't it every 6% or 8% in the world has some sort
Yeah.
of link
No, it is
with
25% of the people are some related to Genghis Khan. Something like that.
तो
Oh,
अपन
shit.
सब Genghis Khan से related है.
But even this thing, dude, so you'll find a lot of Tibetans in Karnataka.
Hmm.
Okay, and the reason for that is when the trouble with China happened, when China invaded Tibet, a lot of people fled, and they came down to India, and they needed land to, they came in as refugees. They needed land to start living, right, to farm and get their life back. So the government of India gave them land in Karnataka to farm, and so you'll find a lot of settlements there. And the other thing is that it was very difficult for them because the soil was so different. Because the soil in Tibet and the soil in Karnataka is wildly different. So they had a huge problem while settling in. So and this basically I learned because I was in Dharamshala and there was a book that I was flipping through, and this had this information. I was so surprised that all the way in Karnataka you'll find displaced populations, and how all of this is so interconnected.
देखो ये एक इडली मोमो बना दे.
Yeah, it's so different, man.
In fact, there's a point on Earth. It's called Point Nemo. Right. So Nemo essentially means like no one. Right. And that is supposed to be the oceanic pole of the Earth.
Yeah.
So finding Nemo was finding no one.
I guess. Yeah,
Fuck.
उसका नाम Nemo है. But this is called Point Nemo. So basically, it's the oceanic pole, right, of the Earth. It's so this that Aju Baju, literally, you are in the middle of nowhere. You know what is the closest thing?
Of the ocean, because it's the furthest. It's the only point. It's the point from where land masses are furthest in any direction.
In any direction, the closest thing to Point Nemo is the International Space Station when it orbits.
Nice.
So the closest human contact to from Point Nemo would be the space station, which is about 250-300 miles. बाकी land mass है ही नहीं किधर आजू बाजू. तो मैं तो Point Nemo not जाए. इधर क्या है? चल मुझे कुछ देख के आते क्या है वहाँ पर. नहीं जाना है. तो Point Nemo से और Neville की शक्ल देख के ये मालूम पड़ रहा है that we have 10 more facts that Neville is going to do. बोल दे बाबा.
Pack up. अरे मेरा कॉल चालू है.
हाँ तो कॉल पे क्या चल रहा है वो बोल.
अच्छा ऐसे इसके लिए डे लाइट में करता नहीं हूँ. चल.
Hilarious.
Okay, that's it from this episode of the Internet Set. So we were kind of talking about crazy geographical facts and things around geography, no matter how far removed. Hope you like the episode. If you liked it, please like, share, subscribe, share the video with everybody, and comment. And sorry for 1 day late, but hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you again next week. Till then, bye bye. Take care. Good night. Salam ishq.
You know what else is geography? All those places that people want us to come to and we aren't going.
Guys, since we're talking about geography, are you a Kharif crop or a Rabi crop?
Okay, bye.